waking up this morning, was there just a little extra something to your step knowing that it was first practice of the
Yeah, a little bit. It's exciting. I think our whole staff is excited. We had a staff meeting last night. We had one. We probably had 5 or 6 staff meetings in preparation to get to this point with the specific spring practice in mind and what are we trying to accomplish, what do we want to get done, and it's a little nerve-wracking maybe. We actually have an interview candidate on campus today too, so there's all these things going on, and it's at the end of the day we get to go out and run around and have some fun. So I'm looking at it more of a respite than anything else probably. So
what's the interview candidate?
The interview candidate is going to be the defensive position coach / strength coach for the department. So a new position that Josh Whitman has been able to put together for the athletic department, and it's going to be a good situation.
That kind of has been one of the big reasons why Coach Terry decided to step down, was that lack of another full-time person on the coaching staff. How important will it be to hire that spot?
Oh, it's very important. Very important. It's when you look at what we need as a football program to be successful, and what I think was a concern about La Crosse from a number of people who were looking at the position, it's very critical. You have to be able to have people, boots on the ground, so to speak, to be able to get things done, and it'll serve two purposes. One is to be a defensive position coach and be a good recruiter for us, but also be someone who can run our strength program, which to me is one of the biggest, most important things. I mean, that's you're actually in the strength program more than you're in the season, and that's in terms of the players. And I think that's, to me, having mental toughness and the ability to be a dominant physical team, that doesn't just happen by accident. You've got to teach those types of things throughout the year. And I think that person will be a very important. I mean, they won't be a D coordinator when they get here, but they will be a coordinator of strength and conditioning, which is just as important if you talk about kind of OC, DC, recruiting coordinator, strength and conditioning coordinator, is kind of the 4 pillars, in terms of what I think of what a good football program takes. What I've learned about anyways is those 4 things. You've got to have 4 very squared up people doing those things if you want to have success.
20 years ago, do you think as much emphasis was put on that strength and conditioning part of things?
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that. A lot of the stuff, notes and old folders that I've gotten from Coach Herring, I would say as a whole, on the average, no, definitely not. But when you look at Coach Herring moved out of his house, brought in some old folders, and when you look at the 1995 team, 92 team, there's actually a bound booklet with testing numbers and physical numbers, running numbers, lifting numbers that's outlined, typed out. I mean, it's as neat a book as it gets in terms of it looks like an accountant's ledger, and I mean it's all right there. And to me, that kind of like when I looked at that, I was like, yeah. And there's a reason, there's a number of reasons why they were good in that time. But I think when you look at their commitment to, as a coaching staff, to holding kids accountable, strength and conditioning, and physical development, and when you look at the PE school and the ESS department and all the things you have here, that was a big deal. So I think as a whole, no. Here, yeah, it was, and I think that's something that was surprising to me, I guess, and kind of fun to learn. So
I was gonna say, really interesting. You brought up Coach Herring's name. You played at Platteville when he was coaching here. Yep. Before you became a part of this school, when you heard UW-La Crosse, what did you think?
Intimidating. I think that you weren't afraid to play them. You always wanted to go have a chance to beat them, but you knew you'd have to play your best game, and they'd have to make some mistakes, and they didn't do that very much. You kind of had a little bit, to be honest, kind of the football factory, kind of, like, hey, they're just up there to play football, and they're just big guys and everything else. But then as I got to know them after graduation, they were doctors, they were lawyers, they were physical therapists, they were, some were pro football players, so that part of it was, they were serious about all the things that they had to do. But no, I think they were the top of the mountain. They were the guys that when you went and played them, that we maybe got close once within 7 points, but they were the model. That's what you wanted to be. I mean, that's what you wanted to beat them. If you beat them, that was like the best thing that you could do for the year. And I think that was that's what we looked at.
Probably safe to say Whitewater has become that model now in recent years.
Yeah.
Is kind of like a Lovie Smith thing? Are you going to come in here and be like, we got to beat Whitewater?
Well, I think that it's definitely a focus for us, but it's a focus because it's our first game. It's our next game, September 3rd, first game, Whitewater. And, we have to be, it's a very tough conference. You got to be able prepared to beat everybody and go play them. But I think that, and we're not going to put any bit more emphasis on it than we will the next game. We will play Mary Hardin Baylor the next game. So if we go play Whitewater and have success, we can't think that our season is set because we're going to go play a really good team next. We also can't think that our season isn't set if we don't have success because we have 9 more games to play. So I think that every game is going to be very important. I think it's a tough league. We're going to have tough non-conference schedule. You've got to be able to go play, and being consistent. We're going to talk out here in spring practice. Be consistent. You can't go be national champs in spring practice. You can get better. You can, what measurable things can you do? And each week, what measurable thing can you get better at? That's what we won't jump ahead and try and win 15 games. If we can, great, but we're not going to aspire. That's not going to be our number one goal. We want to go be good at what we can be good at, and then and see what happens and let the chips fall.
You've been hired about a little over 2 months ago now. Yep. How has the short time you've been here, how has it all gone?
It's been great. It's been great. Very welcoming. And it's been humbling. And when I was a defensive coordinator at Wartburg, I could kind of, I just lived in town, and my neighbors knew who I was, and some people maybe knew who I was, but they knew who the head coach was. More so than me, and that was okay. And now I remember my first week, I got a La Crosse jacket, and I was pretty happy with it and liked it, and had this little L on here and everything, and I pulled up at Taco Bell, and the guy opened it. It's probably 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, and the guy opens the thing, and he's like, "Hey, Coach, good luck this next fall." I was like, "Whoa!" So it was an awareness that people know who you are, and obviously when you get your picture in the paper, that's cool, but it's also it comes with responsibility, and I think I've realized how important this whole thing is to the community, to the school. Not just as a football program, but there's a number of ways that you can lead in the football program. We're very visible, so I talked with the players about being great students, great people, about being leaders, not just being football guys. It's a tool that we're given, it's a privilege that we're given, and we need to understand how to utilize that and represent the school and everything. And for me personally, it's great to be here, and I feel like the department has welcomed me, and obviously Josh Whitman is an awesome boss to work for, a guy who has been, I'd leave the office 11:30, 12 o'clock at night the first couple of weeks, and he's still in here. So when your boss is staying longer than you, that's a comforting feeling, I guess. That might seem a little bit weird to some people, but to me, that's when the guy who's helping you be successful is here longer than you. That makes you feel good.
And coming with getting here to La Crosse is moving here. We sort of talked about it.
Yep.
The sign of all signs, possibly here,
right,
where you're living now.
Yeah, Coach Herring's house. We're going to buy that, or we have bought it, I guess. It's been a very kind of surreal experience. I met Coach Herring the first morning after my press conference. Had coffee with him, and the first thing he said, "Hey, we're selling our house." And all these things kind of aligned. And when my wife walked in to look at it, she thought it was, she could have bought it in the first 2 minutes. It didn't. She loved it. She loved the design of it. She loved everything there. And if she's happy, then I'm very happy. So. But no, I think it's been very unique, and I've enjoyed being around Coach Herring just because of he's not just a football guy. He is a football guy, but he's more than that, and he's provides. We look at all the guys that come back and talk to him, and he's very well traveled. He's very well, he's eclectic, and he's got all kinds of different interests. And he isn't like the prototypical jock football coach. He's very successful, and I think people sometimes associate that with being, kind of your guy that only cares about football, but he cares about the little things. And it's, I like to think that my philosophy that I've developed is something that aligns with his, and I'm just trying to learn from him too. And it's, I look at mentors and people that, your career path kind of changes. Lou Holtz says by the books you read and the people you meet. And I've been fortunate enough to meet some really good people that are really, helping me, I think, get through the little things and be successful. And he doesn't necessarily tell me about run this play or do this. It's just more being around him and how he conducts his daily life and how he went about those kids and telling old stories and just kind of hearing some of the stuff that he'll tell you. You can gather information from that and be more connected to the alums, but also understand what they went through, and then you start to have realizations as to why they were good. The things that they did, the sacrifices they made. That was an expectation. It was a way of life. It wasn't just something you did once in a while. So,
when people see this product on the field come September 3rd, what is going to be Coach Dettwiler's style?
Physical, I think. Toughness, like mental toughness. Body language, resiliency, I think. Those are the things that we're going to sell and talk about out here. In terms of no matter what happens, we're going to keep, a bad example, I guess, or a bad analogy. We're going to keep swinging. We're going to keep fighting until the last whistle and do things the right way. I think in physical football, not like people, not necessarily smash mouth football, but like physical football, where we're going to be a presence, and you're going to know when you play us, that you're going to have to strap it up and you have to play a good game. You're going to play your best game, because if you don't, then we're going to beat you. And that's kind of that's not going to happen overnight. That's got to be something that we start in spring practice, develop that attitude and that demeanor. I'm going to have to train him a few times, and I'm going to have to push him and get on him, and we as a staff, we're going to have to come together. But that's physical football and fundamentally sound and running, getting after people from that perspective. So.
You come here from Wartburg back to Wisconsin, where you grew up, actually.
Yep.
Oregon, Wisconsin, and there's been a coach that has made quite some headlines lately, Shaka Smart, hometown. I guess, do you know Coach Smart at all? And
I had some interactions with him. He was a freshman when I was a senior. I think he's actually a year older than my sister, who was around the school at the same time. He played with a number of my good friends, obviously much more accomplished than me right now, which is great for him. I think that's it's cool to have that, like the kind of the community that I'm around, like on Facebook and stuff a little bit. They were able to see him, and they were very happy for me too. But it's cool to have a guy like that who works hard, and is intelligent, and is loyal to his school, and all the things that go with that. And I'm pretty sure that good coaches usually tend to have the same, successful coaches tend to have the same things that run through the fibers of their program. And I think that's something that I know he works hard, and I've seen him. I've never really talked to him probably for a good 15 years maybe, but I've seen him bounce through the ranks and climb and make some decisions. I think career-wise, where he chose to not go to places, or make the right decisions for him and for what he thought was good. And I think that's paying off for him, which is, it's fun to see when you fight the good fight that things work out for you.
Exactly. So. Cool. Well, I appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Great meeting you, and best of luck this season.
Thank you.